Hey film fans, welcome to Cine Pro. Your ultimate hub for all movie recaps, from heartwarming classics to the latest blockbusters. The movie begins in Paris with a married couple named Vincent and Sophie who own a butcher shop. Unfortunately, the shop is not doing well at all, as they don't have many customers, and those who do come in get frustrated with the wait while Vincent performs a strange massage on the meat. One day, a group of vegan activists attacks the shop, throwing paint, breaking things, and spray painting graffiti on the walls. Vincent chases after them and manages to knock one of the activists to the ground to uncover his face. But his friends quickly return, push Vincent away to rescue the man, and stab Vincent in the stomach before fleeing. Later that same day, the couple visits their friends, Stephanie and Mark. They tell them that the bank refused to give them a loan to renovate the shop, and as a result, they will soon declare bankruptcy. At first, Stephanie sympathizes with them, but then she begins boasting about the large amounts of money Mark earns at his butcher shop. During dinner, Mark brags about his earnings and gives Vincent a gift, a gun to protect his shop. Vincent doesn't have a license for the gun and considers refusing the gift, but Mark insists and even fires a shot at a toy in the pool as a demonstration. On their way home, Sophie tells Vincent that they should separate because their marriage has become dull, and she wants a man who makes her feel excitement. But Vincent isn't paying attention to her. He's noticed the activist riding a bike nearby. Suddenly, Vincent stops the car and decides to confront the man, reversing the car to find him. However, he accidentally runs him over and kills him. Horrified, Vincent wants to call the police to report it as an accident, but Sophie reminds him that he's been drinking alcohol, and there's also a gun in the car trunk, so he'll likely get a life sentence. She recalls a documentary she watched the night before and suggests they imitate a famous serial killer who used to dismember bodies and scatter their parts in garbage bags around the city. Moments later, Vincent places the dead man on his butcher's table and starts cutting him up using his tools. He cuts the large pieces into smaller ones, and during the process, an ear falls to the ground, which the dog eats without hesitation and loves so much that it barks for more. Vincent throws the other ear to the dog, and when he sees how much the dog enjoys it, he starts to think. After finishing, Vincent goes to his bedroom and finds Sophie watching another crime documentary. She tells him he can't sleep there because they're officially separated. Vincent has no choice but to sleep on the couch. The next morning, Vincent oversleeps, rushes to the shop, and discovers that Sophie has sold the human meat he left on the cutting board. She thought it was luncheon meat. Before he can yell at her, a customer returns and says it was the best meat she's ever eaten and asks for more. Vincent tries to sell her something else, but she insists on that specific luncheon meat. Sophie doesn't understand the problem, so Vincent tells her they've changed their meat supplier. Now Sophie wants to try the new luncheon meat herself and thinks it tastes amazing. Vincent tells the ladies it's Iranian pork. The customer buys all she wants, and after she leaves, Sophie demands to know the truth. When she hears his explanation, she's shocked for a moment, but then tells Vincent not to throw the meat away and even suggests he try it himself. He refuses, but Sophie keeps talking, saying they could sell the whole body to get rid of the evidence. At that moment, another customer arrives, a friend of the previous one, who also wants the same meat. Rumors about the Iranian pork spread quickly, and the shop fills with people asking for it. For the first time, the couple makes good money by selling human meat. When Officer Mac comes to buy Iranian pork, the couple gets nervous, but fortunately, he doesn't realize it's human meat. That night, Vincent eats the last piece of human meat at dinner and loves its taste. Sophie believes they should start killing more people and selling their meat. Vincent thinks she's joking, but Sophie is serious, saying it could save their shop. The next day, their daughter Chloe introduces them to her fiancé Lucas, who is a vegan. However, he assures them he respects meat eaters and isn't as extreme as the people who attack the shop. He doesn't approve of what they did, though. At first, Vincent and Sophie aren't upset, but they're shocked to learn that Chloe has also become vegan for Lucas's sake. Lucas refuses to eat the mushrooms Vincent prepared because they were soaked in chicken broth, and he won't drink their wine, explaining that he only drinks vegan wine, as regular wine is made from grapes pressed with dead insects. The couple then offers cheese and cake, but Lucas refuses those too because they contain milk and eggs. He even calls Sophie an old cow while explaining how animals are treated on farms. After Chloe and Lucas leave, Vincent is so frustrated that he agrees to kill people. They visit a vegan restaurant and start analyzing the customers. They want someone plump and not too nervous. The chef is very overweight, so they choose him as their next victim. After the man's shift ends, Vincent follows him home and prepares his knife. But when the man screams, Vincent panics and runs away. He gets into the car with Sophie and tells her the man defended himself, forcing him to flee. But Sophie knows he's lying and says they need better plans. She shares more ideas she learned from crime documentaries. The next day, Sophie and Vincent go to another city, pretending to be vegan activists in front of a grocery store. When a man insults them, Sophie argues with him using all the information she learned from Lucas. Another vegan man approaches to commend them, but he starts yelling against the system without giving them a chance to respond, forcing Sophie to yell back to scare him away. A kinder vegan man talks to them, and they agree to meet later to discuss their new activism. Moments later, the man arrives with two others. Vincent and Sophie realize they can't fight all three at once and prepare to leave, but the trio reveals they're planning to attack a meatpacking factory. Vincent gets an idea and agrees to join them, ignoring Sophie's objections. On the way, they're given masks. One of the activists thinks Vincent looks familiar, but the couple distracts him by saying they're flower sellers. When they arrive at the factory, Sophie is shocked to discover it's Mark's factory, so she stays outside, claiming she'll keep watch. Vincent joins the trio and enjoys breaking things inside, and they light a fire and also take a bath over a picture of Mark. After that, Sophie and Vincent go to a restaurant, and she yells at him because he betrayed their friends. But Vincent thinks that big chains like Mark's harm his small business more than vegetarians do. He orders a steak but doesn't feel like eating it because it's not as tasty as human meat. Vincent refuses to kill again, and Sophie starts provoking him, calling him a coward and saying he can't rely on himself except when things get tough. Her words make him so angry that he raises a fork to hit her, but he restrains himself and announces that they've broken up before leaving. Sophie finishes talking to the waiter, and they bond over their love for true crime documentaries. He offers to drive her home, and when he drops her off, he notices the shop. The waiter finds it strange that he dropped off a butcher because he's a vegetarian. He keeps flirting with her and even kisses her, but hungry Sophie bites his tongue. Since he's bleeding, she invites him inside to clean up. While the man is in the bathroom, Sophie tells Vincent that he might be the Iranian pig they've been waiting for. She convinces him by explaining the kiss in detail. Angry Vincent starts sharpening his knife, and Sophie is pleased to see him so worked up. But Vincent stops when he remembers that the best meat comes from relaxed cows. Sophie decides to give the waiter a massage on the couch to prepare him. When she tells Vincent to go ahead, he hesitates, but Sophie convinces him by reminding him that they need to survive and threatens him with divorce. Vincent leaves the kitchen and finds the waiter naked, thinking it's all some dirty game the couple is playing to involve him in their twisted fun. This makes Vincent angry again, and he starts beating the man until he dies. At that moment, Chloe arrives at the house. Vincent washes his face with fish tank water, and Sophie hides the waiter's body behind the couch along with the corpse. Chloe is upset because Lucas left her, apparently because he thinks she secretly eats meat, assuming that the butcher's daughter must love meat in her blood. Now she wants to stay with her family for the night and eat from the shop's meat for dinner, which shocks the couple. They tell her to go back to Lucas and give him another chance because he's a good man. After Chloe leaves, the couple cleans up the blood in their living room and starts cutting up the corpse. While working together, they feel their relationship strengthening again. They throw the waiter's bike into the river and then sleep together on the couch. The next morning, Stephanie and Mark call them to offer moral support after finding their shop vandalized. Sophie feels guilty at first, but changes her mind when she sees Stephanie still mocking Vincent's shop. Officer Mack explains that it's the same activists who attacked Vincent's shop and even shows them video recordings. While Stephanie and Mark demand compensation from the government, Mack privately asks Sophie and Vincent for more Iranian pork. By the afternoon, a long line forms outside the shop to buy Iranian pork, and the entire body sells out in a few hours. Sophie promises them there will be more tomorrow. That night, they kidnap the chef from the vegetarian restaurant and kill him in the bathtub after some hesitation. As days pass, the couple continues killing vegetarians using different methods. Vincent stops hesitating and begins enjoying the thrill of the hunt. Every day, they have more and more customers, and the lines at the shop grow very long. The couple grows closer as they work together, and killing becomes routine to the point where they have casual conversations while murdering. One night, they invite a vegetarian man to join them in attacking a meat factory together. While the man chooses his mask, Vincent prepares his knife, but the man notices and kicks him before escaping. The couple chases him into the woods, but unfortunately, they lose his trail. Sophie thinks their adventure is over, but Vincent hears someone moving in the dark. Then Sophie calls the man's phone, and the ringtone reveals his location. The man panics and tries to run again, but slips and falls. When the couple checks on him, they discover he's already dead, having suffered a heart attack from fear. The next day, Sophie and Vincent share a steak made from the heart attack victim with Stephanie and Mark, who admit it tastes amazing. Their jealousy makes them calmer than usual. When Mark takes another bite, he's shocked to find a piece of metal in the meat, and Stephanie recognizes it as a pacemaker. Vincent quickly takes it and claims it's actually a tracking chip used by farmers to monitor livestock. They argue, and when their friends start mocking their small shop again, Vincent finally gains the courage to criticize them and insults everything about them. Angry Mark jumps on Vincent, and they start fighting in the garden, ignoring their wives' pleas. Vincent pushes Mark into the pool and ends up biting his ear and chewing it without thinking. When Stephanie yells at him, Vincent throws her aside as if she's disgusting, pretending it's just payback for their insults. After watching a documentary about tigers, Vincent starts imitating their camouflage and running techniques to hunt victims more efficiently. From then on, he watches more wildlife documentaries to learn other methods, such as strangling people to death like a snake. On some nights, eating human meat makes the couple extremely excited. One afternoon, they host a barbecue in their garden, and a man complains about the smoke and the smell of burning corpses, saying it's ruining his favorite yoga spot. The couple pretends to agree to leave, but instead kills him. Later, they attend a vegetarian event to look for new victims. Vincent is drawn to a very fat boy and fears himself because he doesn't want to hurt children. At that moment, they run into Chloe and Lucas, forcing them to pretend they've become vegetarians and are only selling meat to make a living. Lucas talks about all the vegetarians who have disappeared recently, suspecting that the Farmers Union or the Butchers Guild is behind it all. Suddenly, the couple is kicked out of the event and called butchers, which the activist who vandalized Mark's shop overhears. As they leave, Sophie notices a black woman and says they haven't tried those flavors yet. Vincent decides to break his rule of not killing women, and the couple chases after her. That night, Vincent's knife breaks while cutting the woman, so he goes to the shop to get a new one and finds Mac knocking on the door. The officer just finds it strange that the shop lights are on after business hours, so Vincent pretends to be working late. When the dog appears nearby with a hand in its mouth, Vincent yells to scare it away, telling Mac he's traumatized after his shop was attacked. Before Mac leaves, he remembers the issue of the missing vegetarians. Moments later, Vincent tells Sophie that he threw away the woman's meat because he suspects Mac is onto something and wants to stop killing. But Sophie doesn't want to stop because she wants to break the records of famous serial killers. Their argument is interrupted when they hear the doorbell and get scared. But it's Lucas. He's hungry and wants to apologize for losing his temper, saying he feels like he's losing Chloe. Sophie wants him to stay and rest, which makes Vincent realize she wants to kill him. Vincent immediately kicks Lucas out, then yells at Sophie, declaring that the Iranian pork is finished. That night, Sophie tries to watch another documentary but can't bear it. She turns off the TV, and Vincent sleeps on the couch with the dog. The next day, Vincent tries to sell regular beef, but the long line of customers leaves when they find out there's no more Iranian pork. Sophie calls him a coward, and Vincent feels he doesn't deserve this after all he's done. He leaves, and later, as Sophie is closing the shop, activists appear, asking about the flower sellers. That night, Vincent returns home to find the dog barking at the activist's car. Meanwhile, the activists tie Sophie up inside the butcher's freezer, announcing they will treat her the same way she treated animals. When one of them is about to kill her, Vincent bursts in with his dog, which immediately attacks the man and injures his companion. Vincent throws a knife into a woman's head, killing her instantly, before fighting the last man, whom he easily overpowers and stabs with his own knife. The furious Sophie manages to untie herself and throws a meat hook to kill the man in revenge, while the dog finishes off the last activist by biting him. Sophie then removes the knife and ensures that Vincent wasn't stabbed in a dangerous spot. Later, a documentary is made about Sophie and Vincent. Stephanie and Mark are interviewed because their testimony led the police to arrest Sophie and Vincent. They were the first to expose Sophie and Vincent to the police through a pacemaker device. They keep making racist comments about Mac while explaining that they asked farmers about the electronic chip they mentioned, but no one uses that technology. If it weren't for the pacemaker, Sophie and Vincent would never have been caught. The couple received a life sentence, and at the end of the trial, the judge asked them if there was anything else to add. Thank you for watching.